I think what you have to do is you have to reverse it to make your life better. And I think the best form of doing that is to shut down all the notifications. Like, don't allow anybody to have notifications. See, there you go. This is not my phone, by the way. This is my wife's phone.
About 3D printing is going to be big. If you think Elon Musk in the SpaceX, there are companies which are like 3D printing total aircrafts.
Yep.
That's very optimistic. Hello everybody. Ningangallarkum and oru charming namaskaram. I've got a very special guest. He's a very close friend of mine. His name is Nish Anil. He's a senior program manager at Microsoft in the .NET team. He used to work as a technical evangelist at Xamarin. At the age of just 21, he was the CEO of Invision, which happened to be a software as service before even the cloud computing happened. So without any further ado, Nishant, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Subin, how are you doing?
Very good. We are shooting in the middle of the night, and I hope we keep up.
I hope you don't sleep off, because I'm used to this.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so Nishant, let's start with the origin stories from your own voice. Please tell us your origin story. What happened? How did you come to where you are?
I started off as a CEO, as you mentioned. Pakshay, that was like years ago in 2006, when right out of the college, we couple of us, we decided we should just go and start doing some thing, which we had some ideas. Pakshay, I think it didn't really work the way we wanted to happen. At that time, it was very difficult in 2006 when you say startups. That to right out of the college when you're just 21 years old, it's just people will find it very awkward. Definitely. They come to you saying you don't have enough experience for it, all those things. So it was very demotivating in certain factors, but I think we managed to pull it off for at least 2.5 years. Then it didn't work. So we had to kind of say no to it and then keep moving. So I just came back to my core areas, which is engineering, and I love coding, love programming. So I'm into that right now.
Okay. So I would like to tell that, Nishant is one of my childhood friends. Nammal orumichana padichadu school like Tirundurathala.
Yes.
That was a beautiful time.
It was, I think, 96 to 99.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
That was fun. I remember you having that small bicycle, and we used to go for fun rides and all.
Yeah.
Apol angana you have reached Microsoft. So I know that you're changing the world. I know exactly what domain that you're. If you could just elaborate on that, എന്താണ് ഇപ്പം actually Microsoft ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
Yeah. So I work a company with selling developer tools, which is I think the first one was the basic interpreter that they sold, Bill Gates and Paul Allen. So I'm part of that division, which now we ship a lot of things like Visual Studio Code, and I'm primarily into .NET and C#.
You're telling me that ഈ ലോകം ഇപ്പം റൺ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എല്ലാവരും വിചാരിക്കുന്നത് പൊളിറ്റീഷ്യൻസ് ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബാങ്ക്സ് ആണ്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ് അത് റൺ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ you had a different take on it. You were telling me that ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ഈ വേൾഡ് is run by people who are sitting behind the desk and coding. Could you just elaborate on that?
I did not mean saying the current world, but I was more inclined to say that more of the things would be artistically would be done by programmers in the in the future, I would say. എന്തുകൊണ്ടാ വെച്ചാൽ ഇപ്പം കുറേ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ humans we are doing it as monotonous, which should go away, and humans should be upskilling into something better. So all the jobs that were mostly into the things that, like for example, truck driving in the US, it's one of the most expensive things in the world, expensive professions in the world. So that can be pretty much automated. So those kind of things I was talking about. The key decision factor somewhere would be about the machine learning, the computer programming, the AI that we everyone knows as AI, robotics, but it's more than that. Like, it's about how the future is going to be programmed into something which is going to be meaningful to every human lives, like in the medicine field where people make mistakes, and those mistakes can be costing really lives. So if these things get automated in the right way, it could save millions of lives.
Where aspect is not all of it. So what I understood from what you said, behind the coder, the person who's going to code is going to decide. There's a lot of reverse engineering that is happening. From tech companies, for example, Facebook, engagement metrics are nokkuna. So what they are looking at is, reverse engineering. Ettara orale oru phone maite addict akan patto. That's what they are deciding. And people who are like coding cheyna aalkarana, actually they understood this, and they're designing the codes accordingly, right? They can actually even affect the results of elections as well.
So I think I think most of the companies which is more dependent on ads, where it depends on people who are consuming content, for them it matters that you put them the right kind of content in front of them. So those decision making, there could be political decision making too, but I do not know. I cannot really comment on the other companies how they are working on. But I think the most important thing is to understand as consumers of this content, not everything is you read up on the internet is the right thing. Because it's not only these large companies that is throwing content into you, it's also people who are actually generating this content to you, right? Not every time the company which is in the area, something like Facebook or Google, what you're saying, they cannot control a lot of content. So it all comes from the crowd, which the kind of content that you put in. Pretty sure they're doing enough work to control it. But the full idea, so that also depends on your behavior, like what kind of content you consume, and those kind of things will more and more influence you. So I think as a consumer, the first thing what we should do is to analyze the content that you're consuming every day, and the validity of this content, and if this is part of some propagandas or any political motives and other things. So go behind this content and or ask people who are involved in it to verify this info before you share it with other people. And that is my take on it.
That's a very positive take. കാരണം ഒരുപാട് റൂമേഴ്സ് ഇങ്ങനെയാണ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ആവുന്നത്. അത് മാത്രമല്ല, ഇപ്പം യു ആർ ടെലിംഗ്, ഇപ്പം ഒരു മൊനോട്ടോണി ഉണ്ട്. അതായത് ചില വലിയ കമ്പനീസാണ്, ആമസോൺ ആണെങ്കിലും ശരി, ഗൂഗിൾ ആണെങ്കിലും ശരി, ദേ ഹാവ് കൺട്രോൾ ഓഫ് എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് തിങ്സ്. What do you think in the future? ഇത് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു സെൻട്രലൈസ്ഡ് പൊസിഷനിൽ നിന്ന് കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി ഡീസെൻട്രലൈസ്ഡ് ആകാനുള്ള ഒരു സ്കോപ്പ് ഉണ്ടോ?
Yeah, obviously, I think making it open and decentralized would be a right way of doing things, so that people have more trust. I hope we all wish for a better world in the virtual world.
ഒരുപാട് സീരിയസ് ആയിപ്പോയി, നമ്മൾ ഭയങ്കര ടെക്നിക്കൽ ആയിപ്പോയി. ഇനി നമുക്ക് പതുക്കെ നമുക്ക് ലെറ്റ്സ് കം ടു യുവർ ലൈഫ്. I would like to know, do you have any morning rituals, any evening rituals? Because at just the age of 33, you are in a position wherein the latest trends that are coming in a software program or operating system like Microsoft, you are designing it. To reach there, personally I feel like it's an achievement.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't design operating systems. I build tools for the people to design operating system. I understand what you're saying. So what's your question? I forgot.
So do you have any kind of morning ritual or an evening ritual that you follow? So then to achieve that, to get your focus?
Yeah, so I don't follow a particular ritual. Like, I'm not a morning person at all, first of all, to follow any kind of morning ritual. I am more a night person. I like to be in the silence, trying and being focused. So I try to get my flow. There's a book that called Flow, which I'm truly inspired by it. So which talks about like how do you be in the zone, which is if you ask a musician or an artist, when they go into making the music or when they go into creating an art, they go into that zone, and nothing else matters, right? So I try to in everyday routine, I try to kind of bring in that zone element into me. So in the nights it makes it much more easier for me. So അത് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. അല്ലാതെ I think I just follow things and that's about it.
So സാധാരണ എത്ര മണിക്ക് എണീക്കാറ്?
I wake up before 8:30 because I have my daughter's school at 9, so that's making me a morning person right now. But yeah, otherwise I like to wake. I now it's more like, you know, getting the complete sleep. Like I try to get at least 7 hours of sleep, and yeah, that's how I look forward.
And you have any meditation practices or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do meditation and I do mindfulness as well. Like mindful.
അപ്പോൾ ഇത് എപ്പോഴാണ് പ്രിഫർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? ഏത് ടൈമാണ്?
I'm not into a particular. I mean, I don't particularly go after a time. I take breaks in between my work because one of the best things about my job right now is I can work from home too. So whenever I am at home and things, when I have those time, I do take some time off and meditate. So it's not like an hour long meditation or something. I take 15-20 minutes break and I just want to sit doing nothing and just being totally mindful about the things around and not going into any kind of expectation of going into in the area. As I told you, I was talking about the zone element. This is also part of it. Like, you go into that zone, you go deep in.
Flow state എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ, I mean, a lot of people achieve it through meditation. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ I mean, ആ ഒരു എലിമെന്റിലോട്ട് വരണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ it's not easy. ഭയങ്കര ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടാണ്. So can you share your first experiences when you reached?
Yeah, there's something, I think, because I work for companies like Microsoft, I think I believe in something called as a reset. So every time you try something, it doesn't work, just dust it off and start over again. So there's nothing to worry about in the area. To go into the state, is it hard or does it take really a lot of time to do that? All that I do is, I mean, it's hard for everyone. I mean, but the whole idea is to do nothing and being mindful. Like even if you're whiling away the time, thinking through many things, just follow that thought and see where it goes, and then just get it back. That's all I do. I mean, I don't have any goals in meditation. I don't have in the area. Like I don't do any kind of competition in terms of meditation with me. Like I don't do like, okay, yesterday I did this, so today I need to do a little more. I don't do any of those things. Yeah. That's maybe I'm not. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is. It could be different for different people. I mean, this is the way I feel about it.
So you were telling about the company that you formed. Other than that, you said അത് ആദ്യം നല്ല ഇൻറ്റൻഷനോട് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തെല്ലാം ഒരുവിധം നല്ല രീതിയിൽ പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് സംതിങ് ഹാപ്പൻഡ് ആൻഡ് യു ഹാഡ് ടു കം ഔട്ട് ഓഫ് ഇറ്റ്. Can you share any of your favorite failures? എന്തെങ്കിലും that you failed on which actually led to success in the future?
Yeah, I think that itself is my favorite failure, because now when I look back, there were zillion opportunities that I could have maybe fixed it. പക്ഷേ അന്നത്തെ സാഹചര്യം അതായിരുന്നു. സോ വി ട്രൈഡ് അവർ ബെസ്റ്റ്. ആസ് യു സൈഡ്, ലൈക്ക് വി സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് ആസ് എ ക്ലൗഡ്. അന്ന് ക്ലൗഡ് എന്നുള്ളൊരു പേരൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. സോ ദർ സെയിൽസ് ഫോഴ്സ്. സോ വി ലുക്ക്ഡ് അറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഹൗ ദേ വർ ഡൂയിങ് ഇറ്റ്. സോ വി വർ പ്രൊവൈഡിങ് സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ നോട്ട് as a built-in as a licensed CD product. We were building software that was running as a service, so people could pay for it and use it on the internet. പക്ഷേ it was very ahead of time, and obviously that was a fail. And that the favorite part of the failure is the learning, right? I mean, I always try to learn few things. So even today, those failures have helped me to be successful. So I think I've had zillion failures. I don't have a count. I think I probably fail almost every other month on one of the two things that happens. But the only thing I try to do is not to fail at the same thing. So
that's very important. That's really important.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not afraid of failures, because I think that teaches you so much that these books don't teach you. So yeah. So I love failures, and the best thing that I learned from the failure is just dust off and start over again.
So you mentioned books. So let's come to books. Do you like reading? I mean,
yeah, I do a lot of reading. I like reading, and I write different stuffs. Sometimes I take a book, I don't finish it. That also happens too.
So which is your favorite book that you would like to gift others, and which you have all gifted people more often?
I think it depends on people. So I think the one book that I want to gift the current generation, which is there in their early 20s or the late 20s, whatever, 20 to 30. I think the millennials. I mean, I think we're all millennials in one way. But Yeah, that's the defining decade in the book. It's really good. I wish I had it when I started. That is all about how do you kind of invest in your 20s, which will reap you the benefits later on. Which is like, for example, some of the most important decisions in our lives, we take it between 20 and 30. Like maybe finding a job, getting out of the house, go to the hostel, getting into a relationship, finding your partner, and many things, right? So those kind of decisions happen very early in your age. So if you make the right investments, and recently I finished a book called Measure What Matters, which is more to the professionals who are into product management things. So it helps you define your goal and how do you achieve them as a team, as a company. But if you're in a startups and things, that's a great book to look forward to.
Defining decade.
Yeah,
എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ തലമുറയ്ക്ക് ശരിക്കും ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് വേണ്ട ഒരു ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ബുക്കാണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. 20s മേജർലി നമ്മളെല്ലാം നമ്മുടെ ലൈഫിൻ്റെ ഒരു പാത്ത് ഇത് നമ്മൾ ഡിസൈഡ് ആകുന്നത് ആ സമയത്താണ്.
Correct. So I mean, the whole idea is like not to go away from your fun and enjoyment and other things. You should have all those things, but also in parallel, you should have a vision for your own life.
Definitely.
So those time is something which you don't want to lose it. Like you do the right things in there so that you take the benefits of it later on.
Yes, I think എനിക്കത് കിട്ടിയിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഞാനിപ്പോൾ എവിടെ
We all would have been in different places maybe.
I would like to know which is the ഒരു ഇപ്പോൾ റീസെൻ്റായിട്ട് നിഷാന്ത് പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു അണ്ടർ 5,000 rupees എന്ത് പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്ത് added so much value to you, worth mentioning?
I mean, it definitely got to be some books for sure.
Okay.
But I think I invest in apps and subscriptions too.
Okay.
So one app which is super important to me is the Headspace app, which helps me meditate. Because I'm not a super super focused person, so guided meditation definitely helps.
Okay.
Then I also suggest, not everybody is in favor of this, but there's an app called Blinkist, which helps you read books. Like, so there are many books that you cannot ever read it fully. So sometimes you really you're after a certain few things, like a summary of it and other things. So these Blinkist help. So I invest in these things. So those are super helpful to me.
Headspace, amazing investment.
Yeah.
In terms of meditation, I think it is one of the best tools around.
Yeah, that's true.
വീട്ടിലെ വിശേഷങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറയൂ. എന്താണ്, എവിടുന്നാണ്, where are you from?
Yeah, I was born in Kannur, Kerala, and my dad worked in a bank, so we kept moving, and that's how we were in Trivandrum for a few bit, and when I met you. And then Bangalore on the my dad decided we should stay at some place permanently, so he switched jobs, and then from there on Bangalore has been my home. My wife is from Bangalore. She's a Kannadika. I have a daughter who's now close to 3 years old. So yeah, life is busy and life is too good, I would say.
ഒരു പക്ഷേ പലയിടത്തും you come to a position wherein you have to say no. I mean, that's how you built this. Many people must have challenged you. എന്നിട്ട് അത് ചിലയിടങ്ങളിൽ ഇത് തന്നെ വേണം, ഇത് പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് പറയണം എന്നുള്ളൊരു വിട്ട് വേണം. സോ എനിക്കത് ഭയങ്കര ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടാണ്. അപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ഫ്രണ്ട്സൊക്കെ എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ പറയാനോ എവിടെയെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ പോകാൻ എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ പറയാൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവർക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഫേവേഴ്സ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ പെട്ടെന്ന് എനിക്ക് നോ പറയാൻ ഐ ഫൈൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് വെരി ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട്. സോ ഐ മീൻ അറ്റ് യുവർ ലെവൽ it's very important to do that. So how can people say no? എങ്ങനെ ഒരു കാര്യം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനെ എങ്ങനെ ഏത് രീതിയിലാണ്, how do you manage that?
I think I mean, it's something which you can't do it, you have to say no, because that's the only justification to that. If the moment you say yes and try to make it, which a lot of people try to do it, അതിൽ പ്രശ്നം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ you're not doing justice to anything, not to the person whom you said yes to, not to yourself, and you're wasting a lot of time. So I think, I don't know how to put this, but I've always said no. When it is not possible, it is not possible. But when I say yes, I go all in. Like, you have to have that habit too. Like, if you decide, if you decided to, I mean, it's like these, I mean, someone rightly said, like, when you, I don't know if you've done this racing, the limited racing that we could probably do is at karting. And when you go into karting, there's only one thing there. It's just go all in. Like, you're not worried about anything else in the world. You are always worried about just hitting it full go full speed, and get to the finish line,
Okay.
right? So that's how when you say yes, you just go all in and just go figure it out. Like there will be obstacles, but you steer around, but you don't take off the in the from the gas. Like you don't take off the legs from the gas. So that's all about it.
All comes down to that time.
Mm-hmm.
Time thing, like
Yeah.
time is the most, but it's not money, it's time that is precious.
Yeah, see, that's the thing
Precious,
about the defining the decade that I was talked about.
Okay.
There's a time between 20 and 30 that you can
Exactly.
do a few things, and if you lose that, I mean, yeah, there are many things you can do after that too. I mean, it's not a demotivating factor for anybody who goes beyond 30. But sure, our time is so important. When you take those decisions, you kind of become more successful and happy. I wouldn't say successful. I would say more happy in the later part of your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how do you define happiness, Nishan? According to you.
It's according to me, I'm happy if I'm able to sleep in the night full contently, and if I'm able to wake up every morning energetically. I just want to go get this day. Then I'm just happy about it, and that's success to me too.
Okay. You had a different definition of success.
Mhm.
You just shared a little while ago.
Okay, throw
What
it
is
at me.
success?
Oh, okay. That, yeah. In terms of career, when you say success, it's about being with the right people.
Okay.
And you may achieve something. You may achieve that. Achieve this. You may have goals in your life. Goals are like kind of like moving targets. Like let's say if your goal is to lose 10 kgs. The moment you lose 10 kgs, your goal is done. Then you look for the next target, right?
Yes.
I think if you want to, I mean, this is again according to me. When I see it as a career, like if you want to be very successful, just be with the like-minded people. If you have looked up to someone, like I think everyone should always look up to someone when it comes to work. And if you have looked up to someone and you want to like kind of talk to them, like invest in it, like work for it. And then eventually get there, and it's a beautiful feeling when you are around those people, which I thankfully and luckily I had that opportunity to work with people whom I admired when I grew up. Like for example, I've read books of certain people, and when I reach into the job right now, I work with those people, and that's a beautiful feeling because they're too good, and they keep you on your toes, and moreover they just make your life feel so good. So yeah, that's a very, I think it could be any field. Like if you're in any profession, as long as you're able to be with those amazing people, you will stay a lot positive, I think.
Awesome. Success with successful people sounds awesome. Okay, Nishan, do you have any favorite phrases? In the sense, like ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു എവിടെയെങ്കിലും ഒരു നല്ലൊരു സെൻട്രൽ ലൊക്കേഷനിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു നല്ലൊരു ബിൽ ബോർഡ് വെക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു അവസരം കിട്ടിയെങ്കിൽ what phrase would you like to put there?
I think I spoke about that already. Dust it off and start over again.
Awesome. So you live by it. Dust it off and start over.
Yeah, so it's all about resets. Like if you ever used your phones in full potential, you probably would have reset it already many times. So
you love being resetting, right?
I love
you
resets.
get into the flow state.
Yeah.
Let's talk something about hacks.
Okay.
Do you like hacks?
Hacks in the sense hacking?
Hacking in the sense, not computer hacking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Lifestyle
The life
hacking.
hacks. Okay, yeah, sure.
What are some of your favorite hacks that has, given you a certain edge?
I think in my work I do a lot of automation. Like for example, there are many monotonous jobs that we do. So those things I try to automate. From professional wise parayanengil, it's more like writing a script to make those things that more. And then there's another thing that I've recently learned. How do you make your phones work for you?
Okay.
I don't know if you can call it as a hack, but I'll call it as a productivity tip.
Sounds really interesting.
Which is like using your calendar wisely.
Okay.
So I use calendar for every single thing. Now we have a family calendar. So if my wife has to tell me that we have to go somewhere, she sends me a calendar, and it helps me be organized. So I don't make No, so if you are using an iOS, you can have a family calendar. So if you are part of the iOS group, you can do it on Google. Yeah,
everybody has access to it.
Yeah, exactly. So you have Google Calendar too. So once you block that, so my calendar as a single app is synced between my work calendar and as well as my shared calendar.
Okay.
So if I'm scheduling something for the work, I know that this time I have to be here. So I don't do that. I don't kind of schedule into something else.
Is there a method, like end of the day checking the next day's calendar.
Yeah, so see, there are many things. Like, for example, I go by tasks. എനിക്ക് എന്ത് അച്ചീവ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ളതാണെങ്കിലും when work wise, I put them into tasks. So there is an app called To-Do. Microsoft To-Do is also there. I use that, but you can use any To-Do. And you create a list called Inbox. So I put every single thing there, including probably recharging someone else's SIM card or, paying their LIC policy or whatever, right? Now I put every single thing in the inbox. It's like your emails, right?
Okay.
And the moment you want to take up that task for that particular day, I add them to those days. And then I calendarize them. These are the tasks that I want to hit at this time.
Okay.
But these are not, it's not a very strict goal that I do, but I kind of do it like when it is there, I get it done at some point. So most often from past few months, I've been able to hit those goals off. So when it's on the calendar, I'm able to do it. So there's nobody else who's disturbing me at that time. So I'm just working on that particular thing. So it helps me go into that zone to do a particular task, right? So yeah, these are some of the hacks that I do. But even for the personal tasks.
I've heard from a lot of successful people. There is a number of to-doist items, like, they adane channelize ചെയ്തിട്ട് 3 tasks which are most important tasks എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് കൊടുക്കും. എന്നിട്ട് ആ 3 ഷുഡ് ബി അച്ചീവ്ഡ്. അതാണ് അവരുടെ മെയിൻ ഗോൾ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഡേക്ക്. സോ എപ്പോഴാണ് ഇത്, ബൈ ദ എൻഡ് ഓഫ് ദി ഡേ ആണോ ഇത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
I do it, it's always the start of the day. For me, a lot of people do it in the night. There are some tasks, there is, once you start doing it, it is there in your inbox, so you know when to prioritize it. So there are few things, like I don't check my emails on certain times. I have some of the social media apps which is locked down. Using a screen
let's get into the details.
So I log in.
ശ്രദ്ധിച്ച് കേട്ടോണം, ഭയങ്കര ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ് ഇത്. നോട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻസ് ആണ്. Please explain.
So one of the things is, if you want to be super productive and achieve what you want, as I told you, there's limited time. So what I do is, a lot of people, this is something we get into arguments with my parents and my wife, and I think, like, I complain to them, you're always on the phone. But they also tell me that, no, we also see you on the phone. So but the thing is, I try to make the phone work for me. I don't get involved into
Wow. How so do you do it?
So
this is the world is looking for this.
So I think the best part of thing is, like, the notification. It's as much as a developer, I would love to have this notified to a user.
So listeners, this is coming from a person who designs tools for doing this. So please follow what he's gonna tell now.
I think the whole thing is, like, it's a notification takes you off, like, it just, you are into some kind of deep thinking, and imagine some notification comes up, it tempts you to go and look for it, and then you are gone into that deep hole, right? So
Facebook ഇങ്ങനെ തുറന്നു വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചുമ്മാ കീഴോട്ടൊന്ന് സ്ക്രോൾ ചെയ്താൽ മതി, ഒരു അരമണിക്കൂർ മാറി.
So you are making their lives better, right? So I think what you have to do is you have to reverse it to make your life better. And I think the best form of doing that is to shut down all the notifications. Like, don't allow anybody to have notifications. See, there you go. This is not my phone, by the way. This is my wife's phone. So I don't.
You're spared.
So I disable all the notifications, so the notifications don't reach me. And also there is something called as do not disturb mode. If you really want certain notifications, like for my emails, I do allow them, but I go into the do not disturb mode when I really want to be not disturbed. Microsoft has tools which allows me to focus. So when my calendar is in a focus time, it kind of takes me off, like, all the notifications gets disabled. And even if someone in an internal corporate chat, they're trying to ping me, they also will be notified that this person is in a focus only mode, so they will also not disturb you. So there are tools which can make you work. So I was telling, in terms of regular consumers, like, don't disable notifications, and you decide a time when you want to go and look. Like, WhatsApp ILM, Facebook ILM. So in iOS there is a feature, I think Android also has it, it's a screen time. So you can set each app in itra screen time just set them. So I have only 10 minutes set for Facebook, and
Facebook 10 minutes
automatically disable now.
Wow.
Yes, so you don't have an option to just go and check it. So even that temptation to go and check, that goes away. because I mean I love social media for the reason that I get to be connected with a lot of people, because a lot of my friends are everywhere in the world, and it is almost impossible to be like calling everyone up and just checking up and all those things. So I think I like to follow up with their updates and things. So, but the thing is, I want to limit it. That's all I'm doing. So I limit it to that 10 minutes and just go look through and just come out. And the other things, people can reach me without any with the notification disturbances, like directly call me or message me, or email me on certain times for sure. It is going to notify me during those times.
Emails are very important.
It is not actually. The thing is, there is one thing which my boss uses, which is the CC list. If you are on an inbox, if you're on a CC list, you create a rule called inbox CC, and then you kind of drive everything to the CC. Because നിങ്ങളുടെ email CC ലിസ്റ്റിലാണെങ്കിൽ you don't need to take an action. So you're not requested to take an action. So you don't have to respond to it. So if it is something that important, people realize and call you or message you, or they'll figure it out how to reach out to you to get this job done. So you just
അപ്പോൾ അത് നമുക്ക് ഇതിൻ്റെ പോയിട്ട് ഏതെങ്കിലും ഇപ്പോൾ ഗൂഗിളിൻ്റെ ആപ്പിൽ പോയിട്ട് യു ക്യാൻ
no, it's whatever is your email thing. Like, so if you use Outlook or if you use Google, whichever it is, just set a rule that if you're on CC, then move it to another. Don't put it to me on the inbox.
Inbox-lidaade direct
in a CC list or in a folder. So as I said, my boss creates inbox-CC. There's a whole blog written about it. And maybe in your podcast we can share that. So these are some productivity hacks if you're
in super അടിപൊളി. എനിക്ക് തന്നെ ഇത് കേട്ടിട്ട് ഭയങ്കര ഇപ്പം ഈ മൊബൈലിൽ ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാൻ തോന്നുന്നുണ്ട്. എനിവേസ് നൗ ഒരു ഭയങ്കര ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ. ഇപ്പം നിഷ് ഭയങ്കര ബിസി ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു പ്രൊഫൈലാണ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. കുറച്ച് സ്ട്രെസ് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കും. അത് മാത്രമല്ല ഒരുപാട് തല ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ട പരിപാടിയാണ്. സോ ഐ മീൻ അതിൻ്റെ കൂട്ടത്തിൽ തന്നെ യു വർക്ക്, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു പേഴ്സണൽ ലൈഫും ഉണ്ട്. ഈ വർക്ക് ആൻഡ് പേഴ്സണൽ ലൈഫ് ബാലൻസ് അത് ഞാൻ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് നിഷാന്തിൻ്റെ. ഇറ്റ്സ് ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ. ഹൗ ഡു യു ഡു ഇറ്റ്? വാട്ട് ഈസ് യുവർ മെത്തേഡ്?
I think it's a deliberate attempt. I think early in my 20s, mid-20s, and I think when we got married, like I was super busy. I was busy with life and other kind of things. പക്ഷേ പിന്നെ അത് I think again it's like being with those like-minded people kind of inspire to look up to their lives. And I saw that even being so successful, they were able to dedicate their time for their family and other things. I realized, at the end of the day, it's what matters is the time that you spend with your loved ones, and that's very, very important. So I just make it deliberate to make sure I'm spending more time. So I get this opportunity to work from home, so I get to do that. And when especially when my daughter is growing up at this time, it feels good to be part of the thing. But I'm not there all the time. That is also there. If you ask my wife, she'll tell the other way. But I try. Yeah, I try my best. But there are times like when you have to be super, especially if at a conference, if I have to give a talk and that talk goes on a particular day. So there was my daughter's first school annual day. She's just 2 years old, 2.5. But then it was very important in terms of milestones. But I couldn't attend it because I was committed to this thing. So there are things that go miss, but I try to patch it up with maybe going out or I try not to do anything on Sundays. So that's the way I tried, but I'm not best at it, so I don't know.
You do it beautifully. Whenever I come meet you, you've given ample amount of time to your family, and it looks really good. As an outsider, I feel really good. Okay, ഇനി നമുക്ക് കുറച്ച് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ടോപ്പിക്കിലേക്ക് കിടക്കാം.
Sure.
Now, I know that you are creating the future in terms of design and all those things. What do you think is the future? എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് ഇനി വരാൻ പോകുന്നത്?
I think there are many things that is going to come in the future. It is going to be all making our lives easy and simple. I truly believe in it. And when this AI and the whole thing starts off, it's going to be even awesome. There is quantum computing which may come up, which is going to simplify a lot of tasks which were not easy for it.
Quantum computing, recently Google the quantum computing ne kurichuru idu ഭയങ്കര ഹൈപ്പ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു ലേമൻസ് ടേമിൽ ജസ്റ്റ് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി.
ലേമൻ ടേമിൽ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി സൂപ്പർ computing way of doing things. It's not speed alone. Generally what happens is we talks in bits, ones and zeros. Computers can only process them, like it has to be true or false, right? ഇപ്പോൾ the next thing is like you can have 1 0 and another state with it. So basically it's called qubits. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പം you can do lot more processing because you can hold more data in terms of qubits. So angana varumba there's a lot of things, like even encryption can be broken. Right? Yeah, so because we are talking about super computers now. So layman's term, it's going to be super computer can solve many problems. Yes.
അപ്പം ചില കീ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളുടെ ആൻസേഴ്സ് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടും.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole idea about all this automation and technology is about making our life simple, but apparently we are making it more complicated with it. But I think that's the thing. I mean, jokes apart, I think now we are talking about I mean, IoT is something which has been happening now, which was never thought of. Like, I mean, it's not IoT in the Internet of Things. Anything anything that is a device can be connected to the internet, which solves many problems. So for example, innathe kalathe maybe you have an Alexa at home, like a Echo, and then you say, Alexa, turn off the lights, or turn on the light, turn off the lights. I mean, it is able to do that. And how is that able to do that? Like, so it's taking your conversation up, converting into instructions, and then making the device technically switch on and switch off. So that is one way of looking at it. I mean, that is like home thing. But if you think about it, where IoT is going to be really applicable is maybe in the agricultural field, right? Like where there are sensors to understand what is the weather forecasting and putting the crops rightly and providing all those things. So I think these are the things that will make our lives very, very simple, and people can, and these are really cheap devices, so they can connect back and tell us. So for example, one of the things is I don't know if you know about this huge pipelines people lay, right, between countries when the oil has to be transported and other things, right? So how do you detect an anomaly if there is a leak in that pipe? How do you kind of detect it? Now, if a person has to manually go and see that, it's a very expensive affair, right? So you think about this, if drones can fly over this and take pictures of it, and within the picture, if it can detect an anomaly, like some leak, it can inform the person that at this GPS location there is a leak, and that person can just go there and fix it up. So lives are exactly right. So so in these large industries, I think things are going to be changing, and we will see those impacts happening.
And in terms of AI, ഞാൻ കേട്ടത് കുറച്ചും കൂടി ഒപ്റ്റിമിസ്റ്റിക് ആയിട്ട് തിങ്ക് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ AI പേഴ്സണലൈസ്ഡ് ആകാൻ തുടങ്ങും. ഇപ്പം നിങ്ങൾ അയൺമാൻ മൂവി കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ ജാർവിസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ക്യാരക്ടറുണ്ട്, അയൺമാൻ്റെ AI ആണ്. അപ്പം പീപ്പിൾ വിൽ ഹാവ് ദെയർ ഓൺ ഇൻ്റർഫേസസ് ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ്. അപ്പം വാട്ട് വിൽ ഹാപ്പൻ ഇസ് ഇപ്പം ഈ ഷോപ്പിംഗ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റ്, ഇപ്പോൾ ഷോപ്പിംഗ് മോൾ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റേ അങ്ങ് മാറും. സോ ഇഫ് യു നമ്മൾ ഗൂഗിൾ ഗ്ലാസ്സോ അങ്ങനെ ഗ്ലാസ്സസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കാണുന്ന എന്തും, ഇഫ് യു ഗിവ് ദ പെർമിഷൻ ദറ്റ് AI വിൽ ഡിറ്റക്ട് ഇറ്റ്. അതിനുശേഷം നമുക്ക് വേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ, ഇപ്പം ഞാനിപ്പോൾ നിശാന്തിനെ കണ്ടിട്ട് നിശാന്തിൻ്റെ ഷർട്ട് എനിക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു, അത് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ AIൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് പറയുകയാണ് ആ ഷർട്ട് കൊള്ളാമെന്ന് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ സെർച്ച് എവിടെ നിന്നാണ് ഇത് നമുക്ക് പറ്റിയ നമ്മുടെ മാതിരി കുറേ നമ്മുടെ സൈസ് വെച്ചിട്ട് കുറേ ഡിസൈൻസ് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. എന്നിട്ട് നമ്മളുടെ മാതിരി മോഡൽസ്. I think
that's already there now. I mean, if you look at VR lens, adella then I think if you would have tried Lenskart.com, they'd put a spectacles on your nose and tell you that which one you would like and things, right? I mean, I think that those are going to be there, and people are going to be innovative. I think we'll have to wait and watch how things are going to be commercialized. We'll have to, I mean, there's so much that can be done today with the kind of computing that we have, and it's very cheap to do all these things. പക്ഷേ എത്രത്തോളം അത് ഒരു കമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ ഫാക്ടറിലേക്ക് എത്തി, എത്രത്തോളം അത് ആൾക്കാർ they're going to use it and other things, like they're going to feel comfortable using it. For example, simple thing, a lot of people who probably would have never seen a dial-up connection, like today they are having supercomputers in their hands and walking around. So we don't know like how much. So
that's what I mean. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മളൊരു പുതിയ മൊബൈൽ മേടിക്കുകയാണെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചോ, ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ള പഴയ മൊബൈൽ നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്കാർഡ് ചെയ്യാമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചോ, ആ ഡിസ്കാർഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന മൊബൈല് മേ ബി പ്രോബ്ലി സെക്കൻഡ് വേൾഡ് വാറിന്റെ സമയത്ത് ഈ ലോകത്തിന്റെ തന്നെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ഡിഫൻസിന്റെ ഇന്റലിജൻസിനെക്കാട്ടിലും ഫാസ്റ്റ് ആയിരിക്കും അത്.
absolutely,
it would have been so fast. So that's computing is becoming, ഇത് exponential രീതിയിലാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റ് നടക്കുന്നത്. I've heard 3D printing is gonna be big. If you think എന്താ പറയുക, ഇലോൺ മസ്കിൻ്റെ സ്പേസ് എക്സ് ഭയങ്കരമാണെങ്കിൽ, there are companies which are like 3D printing total aircrafts. That's a very optimistic way of looking at things. Probably ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ, ഇപ്പം മീറ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ ഇപ്പം ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ കാർബൺ ഫുട് പ്രിൻറ്റ് തരുന്നത് കാറ്റിലും പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഈ കോഴി അതിൻ്റെയൊക്കെ ഫാംസൊക്കെയാണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഫുട് പ്രിൻറ്റ് തരുന്നത്. സോ അതിനെ ഒഴിവാക്കിയിട്ട് സ്റ്റെം സെൽസ് വെച്ചിട്ട് ആർട്ടിഫിഷ്യലി ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക മീറ്റ്സിനെ. അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ, it will save a lot of resources. അത് മാത്രമല്ല, it will feed everybody.
As I mentioned, these are doable. I think people are doing research and going to make it. But എത്രത്തോളം acceptable ആവുന്നുള്ളത് we have to wait and watch, right? That's the thing. Like since you talked about meat, it's something edible and eatable stuff. Like if you tell a person that this is made in the lab, how many people will be ready to really eat it up? So I don't know. This is something which as a program manager, like my job is to understand how the product has been used in the market and try to learn from it and things. So I think people do their POCs and things, and it'll take some time to figure out what is the most probable form of doing it. Like maybe the same rice can be made into noodles and made into a different dish, right? So that kind of probability and all those things have to come up in the marketing. So we'll see.
നിഷിൻ്റെ പാതയിലൂടെ യങ്സ്റ്റേഴ്സിന് വരണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, what is the advice that you would like to give them?
I don't think they should follow my footsteps. It's because everyone have different experiences.
What do you have to tell the
so as I mentioned, that defining decade is something which I said. Which I think I see a lot of youngsters today because they have these kind of devices and smartphones and other kind of things. They probably are not doing it the right way, I feel. Ellarum parayan pattilla, but I know a few of them very closely in my family who have gone zoned out into either a game or something else, or some sort of group chats, and they don't feel like disconnecting and talking to real people. I think the most important valuable thing I would say is read a lot, travel a lot, because that's the only way you can move yourself forward. It's very difficult otherwise if you get lost into this world, because this world has so many things. Today's generation, for them it's just easier, right? Getting a phone and getting into that world is very, very easy. So I think you should invest in this technology 100%. As a youngster, I think what you should invest is a great laptop, probably an iPad, and a good phone, for sure. But then you have to make how you're going to make use of these things to make it work for you. That's most important. Like when you're getting into those zone, like limit yourself and go do awesome things. There are really amazing discussions that happen with productive people. Like find a mentor. It's very important to find a mentor. Ask them if they can mentor you. Go maybe work with them or sit with them, at least have a coffee with them. Like have that capability, or at least have that a kind of need to just look up to them, call them up and say, hey, I want to have a coffee with you, I want to understand how you're doing this, and then just learn from them. Just meet real people. Today I think one thing I've seen with the youngsters is like they're so much chatty on the chats, but the moment they are in front of real people, they don't know what to speak. Like they do not have that kind of interpersonal skills now. And it's very, very important. AI, when it comes up, there are a lot of things that's going to get done. So there's only a thing that is most important is the human values, and that comes from speaking to real people, understanding real problems, and being there for them.
So that was an amazing conversation that we had. So in terms of something before parting, would you like to say something or give any advice on anything in that angle to the audience?
I think advice, dust it off and start over again. That's about it. I think that's one thing which has stuck with me for a long time, because it helps me. Like if I'm not able to achieve something, I can just reset myself and go back. So I think that's something which I will say to everyone. But the other thing I would say is call me back again when you're going super successful with many people. I would love to be on your show again. Thank you for having me here.
Definitely. I will definitely make a 2.0 version of this conversation. Before going, could you just tell where we can reach you? I mean, where it's how can people reach you? Because you've given so much for people to think through.
Yep. So on Twitter it's Nish Anil, Nishanil,
Okay.
and Instagram Nishanil,
Okay.
nishanil.com.
Okay.
So pretty much that. Or
Okay.
or maybe Google Nish space Anil.
Awesome.
Maybe, I don't know.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure, Nishant.
Thank
I had
you.
a wonderful time, and it's been so educational. And I'm sure the audience will take a lot from this. So
I hope so. I'm very glad to be part of your show. I've heard your show before. I've listened to that show while driving, and I really enjoyed some of them. So I wish you good luck, and
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
you millions of success. And if things go wrong, dust it off and start over again.
Sure. That's an advice that will be with me forever. Thank you so much, Nishant.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's Subin signing off with a special guest, Nishant. Thank you.